It may look like a typical fast food joint, but the businessman behind this Singapore-based restaurant has made history in North Korea. He opened the country's first fast food restaurant in Pyongyang back in 2008. But who wants to do business with North Korea? It's not as unpopular as you think. At least 80 countries traded with North Korea last year. North Korea continues to be hit by UN and American sanctions, but that hasn't stopped its economic growth. In fact, its economy grew at its fastest pace in nearly 2 decades last year, with its GDP expanding 3.9%, surpassing its neighbor, South Korea. North Korea's top trading partners vary depending on which source you look at. But no matter how you slice the data, North Korea's most important ally is China. The Chinese border town of Dandong is separated from North Korea by just half a mile. At least 80% of North Korea's trade is with China, and 2/3 of that trade reportedly goes through the single-laned bridge connecting the two countries. Coal is North Korea's largest export, and last year, China bought $1.2 billion worth of it. The Chinese also have a huge appetite for seafood, which is perceived to be cleaner and tastier. In the first half of this year alone, the Chinese bought almost $100 million worth of seafood. China has been putting more pressure on its neighbor. It suspended coal imports and banned banks from providing financial services to North Korea. In September, Chinese sanctions began to bite. Chinese imports of coal was down more than 70%, while its exports of petrol fell by almost 100%. Sino and Korean ties seem to be cooling. When North Korean leader Kim Jong-un sent Lunar New Year greetings this year, the first card didn't go to Chinese leaders, but instead to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Russia and North Korea go way back. The Soviet Union made up half of North Korean trade for almost 30 years until it collapsed in the 1990s. But Russia is ramping up its involvement. It announced in 2015 that it wants to increase trade with North Korea tenfold to $1 billion by 2020. But they aren't quite there yet. Bilateral trade between the two countries decreased from 2013 to 2016. But in the first quarter of this year, Russia's trade with North Korea more than doubled to 31.4 million year-on-year. President Vladimir Putin recently said Russia exports 40,000 tons of oil to North Korea a quarter. So that's about 160,000 a year. That's a fraction compared to China, but also more than 4 times what the UN estimated for Russia in 2015. But it's not just limited to trade. Siberia faces persistent labor shortages. Enter North Korean labor. The US State Department estimates that around 20,000 North Koreans are sent to Russia to work for Russian companies, making an estimated $170 million for the regime. It's estimated that more than 50,000 North Korean workers are employed in foreign countries, mostly in Russia and China, but also in countries like Qatar, Malaysia, and Poland. North Korea is estimated to make $1.2 billion and $2.3 billion annually from exported labor. North Korea is big on defense, so maybe it's no surprise that it sells weapons to a vast global network. Sources estimate that North Korea made $300 million in arms sales in 2015, and its list of clients is large and varied. The UN intercepted 2 North Korean arms shipments to the Syrian government this year, as well as 30,000 grenades to Egypt. Other North Korean customers include Iran and Yemen. Another important piece of the North Korean money-making machine is Africa. Goods traded with North Korea across Africa amount to more than $100 million annually. The UN is investigating 7 African countries for possible violations of its sanctions on North Korea, ranging from military training to weapons sales. In the midst of a lot of this activity seems to be North Korean-owned enterprise Mansudae Overseas Projects, which is behind several huge construction projects across Africa, building everything from ammunition factories to apartment blocks to giant statues. The UN estimates that tens of millions are being made by Mansudae in Africa. It's clear that North Korea is eager to drum up new business. It even published a new guide on its investment and business environment. But as geopolitical tension grows and more countries suspend trade with the communist state, North Korea's business ambitions may have to stay put. Hi, thanks so much for watching. You can check out more of our videos here and here. We're also taking your suggestions for anything you want explained or reported on. Remember to subscribe and see you next time.